very warm welcome to you all to the one-on-one set. In the studio tonight, we have with us Yovanee Veerapen. She is a dietitian nutritionist, and tonight, during this episode of One-on-One, Yovanee will share with us more about the role and importance of a good nutrition during summer. Yovanee, thank you so much for joining us in the studio of the MBC tonight.
It's my pleasure, Kyle.
Yovanee, so like we know, Mauritius is currently experiencing intense heat and high humidity during the summer. So, from a physiological perspective, how can the climate, affect our metabolism, of our digestion and nutrient absorption?
Yes, that's true. With extreme heat, we tend to sweat a lot. And when we are sweating a lot, it means that we are losing water. So we tend to be mostly on the dehydration part. And when we don't have enough water inside our body, we are dehydrated. It means that we are also losing lots of vitamins and minerals. And this will definitely have an impact on our energy level. Lots of people might feel more fatigue, extreme fatigue, because they are losing lots of vitamins, such as the B vitamins, which is really important in the energy production. So it has an impact on our physiological aspect.
So how do the high temperatures, impact our body's ability to maintain energy levels? And what role does nutrition play for that?
So as I just mentioned, how it impacts our energy level, it's basically because when we are losing water, we also lose lots of B vitamins, because B vitamins are water soluble, and we need those B vitamins to be able to produce energy inside the body. So when we are losing those B vitamins, it means that our body will not be able to produce energy as it normally will. So we really need to make sure that we are eating enough foods high in B vitamins, like lots of whole grains, fruits and veggies, to be able to replace those vitamins that we are losing.
Yes, that's so true. And we also hear that, hydration is so important. But beyond just drinking water, how does the body regulate its water balance?
Well, we have different ways that our body will regulate the water balance, but the main things is that we need to hydrate our body. We can't do otherwise. We need to make sure that we are drinking enough water. And this will vary, Kyle, because we have people who will not really sweat a lot. So sweating is one way of losing water,
Yes.
but it is not the only way that we will lose water. We lose water when we are talking, when we are breathing, when we go to the toilet to pee. So we have different ways of losing water. So you might have someone who is not really sweating a lot, but that same person is going to the toilet to pee a lot. So that means that he or she will lose water. Or let us say someone who is talking throughout the day. Definitely when you talk, you do lose water. So again, it will have an impact on the amount of water that you are losing. So we really need to make sure that we are having at least 1.5 liters of water, especially during this summer, to help our body to regulate the body temperature.
I mean, you're right, during summer we sweat a lot. And we lose certain electrolytes, certain nutrients, which can be important for our body. So how can someone, naturally replenish the nutrients that they have lost through food, especially?
Very basic. They just need to make sure that they are eating like a well-balanced meal at each meal throughout the day, meaning that lots of fruits, lots of fibers, whole grains products, and as liquid, it should be water, water, and water. So we'll not use any other types of drinks, especially sweet drinks, to hydrate the body. We should aim for water. We can opt for maybe herbal infusion, but in summer we are not really keen to have something hot. But if you want to have an infusion, you can just add some cold water to it just to dilute it, and it's not really hot and it's much more pleasurable to have it. Or you can also consume tea if you want, but water remains the main liquid to be able
That's so
to
true.
hydrate the body.
Yes, and in what ways would you say that dehydration can affect the cognitive function and mood? Do you feel that our diet influences, our mental clarity in this hot weather?
Definitely, because it's all about energy. When we don't have enough energy and we are fatigued, it will affect the brain function. So when I'm saying extreme fatigue,
Yes.
lots of time people will experience brain fog. Let us say midday or after lunch, especially around 1, 2 p.m., you might feel like you don't have the same energy to concentrate. You can't really focus, So brain fog is one of the impact when it comes to dehydration.
And during the summer period, Mauritius has an abundance of seasonal fruits, mangoes, and different vegetables as well. So, from a nutritional standpoint, why is it beneficial, to eat the local season produce?
Well, it is easy available. It is local most of the time, it's like a bio product because we are always looking for organic products and we have to sustain the local market. So it's really important to focus on what we have here locally. Yes, we don't have all the fruits in Mauritius, but when fruits are in season, we have to make the most of it. Saying this, we should not eat like 5 fruits a day, as normally we recommend like 4 to 5 fruits and vegetables per day. But that doesn't mean that okay, we are like in mango season, so let us just consume 5 mangoes a day. So in terms of sugar, this will definitely cause another problem. So it's important to have fruits, especially during summer, because we are always looking for something refreshing. For example, we have watermelon, or we can have mangoes or lychees and things like that. And when we are dehydrated and we want to have something really tasty, really sweet, and these fruits, they really fit in perfectly. But we have to be mindful that doesn't give us the permission to go like above the recommended amount. So especially Mauritian Creole, we have a population which is really at risk of diabetes. So we have to be
Yes.
very careful with this. So let us say 1 to 2 fruits a day with lots of veggies on your plate is sufficient. And everyone is unique. So we really need to tailor-make the advice to each individual.
Yeah, so some people actually worry about the sugar content in the tropical fruits, like mangoes, pineapple, lychees. They are high in sugar content. So, but how does their natural sugar compare to processed sugar, or different, and should actually be a limit in the consumption?
Yes, we should have a limit in the consumption. I'll start with the last part first. And how is it different? When we are having a whole fruit, yes, it is high in sugar. This is natural sugar. But at the same time, that same product contains lots of fibers, lots of vitamins, and lots of minerals. So if you look at the overall nutritional value of the fruit, it is really interesting. Even though if it is really interesting, it doesn't give us a permission to consume like 5, 7 a day. So we have to consume it in moderation. But when you compare that same product with, let us say, highly processed food available in the market, highly processed food, they might be rich in sugar and very poor when it comes to vitamins, minerals, and especially fibers. So when we are talking about health, when we are talking about eating healthy or taking care of your health, we really want to push forward the fiber content of a product. So whenever you're choosing your food, make sure that you opt for high fiber food.
But according to you, Giovanni, what are the best sources of plant-based hydration, and how do they support the body different than water alone?
Yes, before I answer this question, let me add something on your previous question. And when you have a food which is really high in fiber, this will help to regulate the absorption of the sugar. So when you are having a fruit, it is much more interesting, even though it is high in sugar, because the fiber will help to regulate the absorption of the sugar. The questions that you just asked me regarding fruits and veggies that we can consume to hydrate our body, yes, we have water as a liquid, but we also have products like cucumber, tomatoes, courgette, like zucchini in English. All these products are really high in water. So make sure that we have these on our plate, especially during this period, because this will help to hydrate our body. And we can also opt for, soup or bouillon, because this will also help to hydrate.
Indeed. And during summer as well, some people may feel bloating or sluggish. So, what physiological changes occur in the digestive system, when we are experiencing intense heat, and how can the diet help?
Yes, because when it's really hot, we are sweating a lot, we are always thirsty, we are always looking for something refreshing, and oftentimes we tend to go for cold juices or fizzy drinks, or we want to have an ice cream. We are always looking for something
Sweet.
refreshing, sweet at the same time, and this is what will really disturb the gut microbiota at the level of the intestine, and this will cause a bloating effect. And oftentimes when it's so hot, people are not really hungry, but they are more thirsty and looking for sweet stuff. And this will definitely, disturb the gut microbiota.
It is also believed that fermented food are said to improve the gut health. How do they actually work, and should they be included more in our diet?
It's important to know that when we are talking about the gut microbiota, we are referring to the intestine. So lots of things are happening inside our intestine, and people are not aware of it. When we are eating food, we are chewing it, we swallow it, then our stomach will kind of digest it, so convert that paste into a puree kind of thing, and that puree will leave the stomach and go into the intestine. Okay, so inside our tummy, we all have roughly 8 meters of intestine, which is a lot. So we have 6 meters of small intestine and 1.8 meters of the large intestine. And in total, it is 7.8, that is the 8 meters of intestine. And inside that 8 meters of intestine, we have trillions of microbes. Trillions of microbes. It's not hundreds, it's not thousands. We are talking about trillions of microbes. And those microbes, I normally call them our little soldiers. So what they are doing inside, they are working constantly to be able to allow us to live, to allow us to perform, to allow us to function. And that medium, the 8 meters of intestine with all the microbes, this is what we call the gut microbiota. This is the gut microbiota, which is really important. And this is where everything begins. So our immune system, our hormonal activity, our mental health, everything will start here. So it is our responsibility to take care of our little soldiers. So how to take care of these little soldiers now? It's very simple. So whatever food we are choosing, it will have a direct impact on these little soldiers. So we have most of the soldiers, they are really working hard, to make things happen in a positive way. But we do have a small population of the little soldiers who are a bit like, naughty one. And they really love sweet stuff, highly processed foods, all those refined sugars, saturated fats, they are really fond of these. So if we as a consumer, most of the time we are consuming products which are really high in refined sugars, which are really high in saturated fats, basically processed, highly processed foods or fast foods. So what we are doing, we are really encouraging the little soldiers who are basically naughty one. And when they are naughty, it means that they will disturb that equilibrium inside, and they can cause bloating, they can cause constipation, they can cause diarrhea, they can cause stomach pain, or it might be that we will not have these symptoms, but they will disturb the gut microbiota, they will have an impact on the immune system, because it's good to note, 80% of our immune cells are produced inside the gut microbiota. So if that equilibrium is not well maintained, it will have an impact on the production of the immune cells. And that part, the gut microbiota, the gut is connected to our brain. So we have what we call a gut-brain axis. So constantly, our gut and our brain, they are communicating. And that communication, it has been proven through different scientific researchers that communication is dominated by the gut. So it is the gut that will kind of control the brain. So if I'm feeling hungry all the time, or I'm really craving for sweet stuff all the time, it's not just my brain, it starts from my gut.
So can it affect concentration?
Definitely. So what we need to do, we need to make sure that the naughty little soldiers, they remain there, we'll not kill them. They are our naughty little soldiers, but we just need to make sure that they are within control. And we need to focus on those little soldiers who are working constantly to make things happen for us. And those little soldiers who are really working hard all the time, what they need is basically fiber. So they really need fiber, because we human, we will not digest fiber. We can't digest fiber. So when we don't digest the fibers will reach the intestine, and the little soldiers will use these fibers to be able to feed themselves. So basically, fibers are food for our little soldiers, for the microbes in our gut microbiota. And when they are well fed, they will be able to do their work. So they will be able to continue the absorption process. They will put aside what need to be discarded, process further what need to be processed further, and make sure that our body has all the essential elements, essential nutrients, essential components to be able to boost the immune system, to be able to boost our mental health, to be able to make sure that things are working as it should. So a high fiber diet is really important.
Wow.
Except in condition like medical condition where a patient cannot tolerate a high fiber diet. Then we'll have to do otherwise. But in general, we should aim for a high fiber food. So it's really simple. So one tip that we want the audience today to grasp and try to implement after this session. Just question yourself all the time when you are eating what the fiber giving food in that meal. This is the first step towards a healthier you. It's so simple. If we start doing this all the time, I'm feeling hungry at 3 p.m., I'm feeling hungry at 5 p.m. after work. Okay, I want to grab something, go ahead, do it. But just question yourself, is this like providing me with some fiber? And try to aim for fiber giving food.
That was actually very interesting, Yovanee. Thank you for explaining to us, about this topic. But are there actually any sign that indicate, a person may be experiencing heat-related nutrient deficiencies, and how can they, help themselves?
Yes, so if you want to relate this to the gut health, so as I mentioned earlier, we need the B vitamins to produce energy. And whatever is happening inside our body, we need energy to allow the organs to function. For the stomach to digest the food, we need the energy. So yes, it will have a direct impact inside. And once again, we really need to focus on those foods which are really high in, vitamins, minerals, proteins, water, and this will also allow a proper absorption inside the body. This will also allow the microbes to function properly, because they need energy, right? So they can't do with that. And you also mentioned about fermented foods before Koyal. So when we are talking about food for the microbes, fibers will definitely feed the microbes. And yes, we do have fermented foods in the market. So when a food is fermented, it means that it contains live bacteria. Those live bacteria will act as a probiotics. That means that when we will consume those fermented foods, so we are also consuming the live bacteria. So these live bacteria will be added inside the gut microbiota, and this will help to improve or boost the gut microbiota. It will help to boost that microbes population in there. So on the market you will see yogurt, which is a fermented food. You have certain cheese, you have miso soup, we can see kefir and kombucha. All these are fermented foods, but we have to be very careful, because oftentimes fermented foods are high in salt and they can be high in sugar. So we need to choose our fermented food properly. But what I love to recommend is basically focus on the basic things. Make sure that you have a good nutrition, you are really nourishing your microbes, existing one, and then from now and then you can just top up with something which contains a live bacteria.
We are actually drawing towards the end of this episode, but before that, Yovanee, with everyone, having different body types, activity levels, how can individuals tailor their summer diet to fit in their specific needs?
Well, everyone is unique depending on your types of activities, depending on your health status. So you just need to review with your medical practitioner or your dietitian to have a proper guide, especially, for example, those who are doing lots of exercises, those who are preparing for, maybe a competition or things like that. So they will need extra care, extra advice. But in general, you just need to focus on, having your 1.5 liters of water. Pay attention to your pee, because if your pee is too concentrated, this means that you are dehydrated. So make sure that you drink enough water so that your pee is basically clear and it is not really aggressive with the smell. So it's quite simple. We don't need to do complicated things. Just work on your base. Make sure that you are drinking 1.5 liters of water. Have veggies at all meals, and make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 fruits a day. But if you're not fan of it, or if you are diabetic, once again, you need to discuss with your doctors and dietitian.
And if you had one golden rule for maintaining optimal nutrition during the Mauritian summer, what would it be?
Keep it simple. Eating has to be pleasurable and focus on nourishing your gut health. So just focus on nourishing your little soldiers. Everything will work in a positive way. Everything will flow in a positive way. So don't complicate things. Just keep it simple.
Thank you, Yovanee. It was a delight to have you on the set and learn more about nutrition and during this intense heat in Mauritius.
My pleasure.
Dear viewers, we have now come to the end of this episode. Thank you for your time. We hope to catch you next week at the same time, same channel. Have a great evening.